It is the moment you all have been waiting for, man. We have reached that time that we are doing the Detroit Lions defensive ranking. And I think because of the new defensive coordinator, because of how our defense is starting to do, that this video is beginning to gain more traction, man. I'm excited about that. The preview video is doing well, and so is the power rankings, man. So we are gaining some traction as the season is going on. So we saw what the Detroit Lions were able to do against the Baltimore Ravens, winning, being one of now only 3 NFC teams to beat Lamar Jackson. Lamar now is 24-3 when it comes to games played against NFC opponents. We won for the first time under Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, and Brad Holmes, and we won in Baltimore for the first time in over 20 years. They had the really big shoulder pads the last time that we won in Baltimore. So the Detroit Lions had a statement game. And one of those things that, even though there was a lot of points scored, the defense stepped up and made plays when it had to. You guys know how I feel about sacks, and we did not disappoint on Monday night. And as the Detroit Lions have an opponent with still currently the number 1 defense in the NFL, the Cleveland Browns. If you guys guessed that from last week, it is the Cleveland Browns who have the number 1 defense. They went into week 3 with the number 1 defense, and they currently have it right now. The Detroit Lions are going to have their hands full on offense, but on defense, they should be able to handle the anemic Cleveland Browns. But we'll get to that on Friday. Right now, let's talk about the defensive rankings. Now, I think that this is going to spark some good conversation because we are going to be talking about, you're going to see a big jump. You're going to see some down arrows as well. But for the most part, I think you guys are going to be excited to see what you see. So what we're going to do, remember, this is heading into week 4. So these are the week 3 defensive rank through. So through week 3. So what we're going to do, last week we compared week 1 to week 2. Now we're doing week 2 to week 3. And even though we're in week 4, so we're a week behind. So whatever week we're in, we're going to talk about the previous week because that's how the rankings are determined. So here is the Detroit Lions 2025 defensive ranking through week 2. You can see there last week, the Detroit Lions in total yards, and I put defense in green because the NFL, I don't know why they don't do points per game. They do yards per game. When it comes to total yards, that is how they come up with the number 1 defense, with the total defense. So the Detroit Lions went into week 3 ranked 10th, which was up 1 spot from the previous week with 302.5 yards allowed. Passing, they were 12th, which was up 2 spots from the previous week with 196.5 yards passing. Rushing, they were 15th, which was down from the previous week where they were 11th with 106 yards per game. Sacks, they were 17th. They had, after week 1, accumulating no sacks, they were 31st. They jumped up 14 spots this week. You guys are going to be impressed with what they did heading into or after the week 3 matchup. They went up 14 spots and had 4 on the season, all in that one game. Points per game, they were 21st, which was up 5 spots with 24 points per game. And turnover differential, they were ranked 11th, which was up 15 spots from the previous week where they had no turnovers. Now, some good, some bad with this, but we got the win. We sacked Lamar a bunch of times, a record-tying amount of time, so we can't complain there. So here are the week 3 rankings heading into week 4. You can see now they are total yards. They dropped down 3 spots, going from 10 to 13. They allowed for, it's really only 5 yards per game is what the difference was, with 307.7 yards per game. Passing went down 3 spots from 12 to 15, allowing 208.7 yards through the air. Rushing, we took a nice jump up, went from 15 to 11th, up 4 spots, allowing less than 100 yards a game. Remember a few years ago, I think it was 2023, the Detroit Lions had all these consecutive games allowing a rusher under 100 yards. Sacks, a huge jump, not as big as last week, but it doesn't matter. Went from 17th, which was up 14 spots from the previous week, now up 13 spots to 4th in the NFL with 11 sacks in total. Points per game, actually down 2 spots from 21 to 23, which is down 2 spots, allowing for 26 points per game. And then with the touch or turnover differential up 4 spots from 11 to 7, which is +2 is what they are on the season. Another game, another turnover-free game from the Detroit Lions coming off that Baltimore Raven victory. So overall, the Detroit Lions defense, not quite top 10, but right there, down in passing, down in points per game, but we got the win. And it looks like if we look at the kind of the trajectory, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep all of the previous ones in here so that we can compare them. So here is where we went into after the Green Bay game. So this was where we were just out of the top 10 when it came to defense. Our offense could not get rolling. If you look, this is after the Green Bay game. And then this is after the Baltimore Raven game. So you want to win. You want to be able to win. That's what is the most important. And then, but you also want to be able to have a defense that's going to be Super Bowl caliber. Right now, I think, honestly, the defense for the Detroit Lions is like teetering on that. If they're the way that we're playing right now, the way that Kelvin Shepard has these guys playing, it's early, right? So we're going into week 4. We're not even a quarter of the season done yet. I think that with the Lions not having a preseason, this essentially is their preseason. We got a middle of the season bye week that we could go into October super hot, had a break, get some rest, maybe get some guys back. Maybe Marcus Davenport can come back. Josh Paschal, Aleem McNeil might be back. Coming out of that bye week could be a really, really big deal. So the Detroit Lions are right on the cusp, right on the verge. Still a lot of stuff to be cleaned up, but the Detroit Lions are definitely, to me, I see a better defense than I did with Aaron Glenn for sure. All right, so let's take a look at what we usually do. These are the same stats that we'll be using for the comparison, the prediction that we do, the final prediction that we do on Fridays. But you guys can see here, third down defense. So we actually dropped. We were 47 point something, which was in the 20s. The Detroit Lions now are the third worst team in the NFL when it comes to third down defense. So that is kind of concerning because we were really, I think we were top 5 last season. Red zone defense, I think we went up there. We went from the low 70s to now the low 60s. So that's a big deal. I think we went up quite a bit. We were in the bottom quarter of the league. Now we're in the bottom third of the league. No, the second third. We're in the second half of the right. So you got 3/3. We're in the second of that. Takeaways, we have 3 right now. So the Detroit Lions defense is overall, in my opinion, it's got a better trajectory than it's had the previous years. That's just my opinion. I would have to go back and look and see what the numbers actually were, but it seems different. It seems like, because if you watch other defenses, like I don't know what you guys were doing Sunday, but I was watching football. Love the game of football. Yes, I was watching the Cleveland Browns and that horrific offense. I knew I was watching the number 1 defense. Like they were swarming. Doesn't seem like the Detroit Lions have a lot of guys that fly around to the ball. Like you've got Brian Branch, you've got Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell wind up getting a cleat to the face. He has like 8 stitches in his face. So shout out to his wife. Shout out to him. Because I'm like, man, these guys really put their bodies on the line. But you knew you were playing the number 1 defense. So as I'm watching the NFL football, I'm watching, teams, Green Bay flying around, Cleveland flying around. We didn't see that with Baltimore. Baltimore of old would be flying around. I think the Detroit Lions have some people, like I said, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, some guys that fly around, but for the most part, we don't have that. Like these guys are just flying around on the defense, right? So I do think that they're better overall. I think the numbers show that they're better. And again, we're still top 15 right now. Top 15. I still think that when it comes down to those playoff teams, when it comes down to that one and you're done, a top 10 defense with our offense might be enough to get it done. I don't think we've had that. We haven't had a top 10 defense. We've been like late teens, stuff like that. We have a top 10 defense. Our offense rolls like it's been rolling. I mean, we've put up 90 points over the past 2 weeks. Like we legit and when we finish getting, like, we continue getting to the quarterback, that we could be Super Bowl, man. I'm still going to stay with my top 10 because, like I said, you're against the 7 best teams in your conference or the 6 best teams in your conference when you make the playoffs, right? So you got to be flying around. You get one chance. You get one shot, one opportunity to go out there and make an impact. So I like what I'm seeing. I look forward to the next week as well. This is a fun series. Started doing this last year after Aaron Glenn and all the talk and things like that. And it looks like that it's paying off. You guys are starting to enjoy this, which is awesome. And after the performance that we put on Monday, I see why. All right. So again, the cancer shirts are out. Want to thank the 2 purchases that we have so far. You know who you are, Lori. Thank you very much. And I forgot the troll's name. The troll, Norm. Thank you, Norm the troll, for supporting a good cause. So again, the cancer awareness shirts are available now through October. 20% of the proceeds will be going there. I got some other ideas too. I got to do some research, man. I think October is going to be a real good month for fundraising. All right. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. So I will be here. We will be live streaming for the Detroit Lions Cleveland Browns on Sunday. The plan is the following Sunday, the 5th of October, to be in Cincinnati, the 12th of October to be in Kansas City, and then we'll be back home for, I think, a 3-game stand, is it? At Ford Field. So I will be streaming those games. So we got a live stream happening this Sunday, 2 weeks I'll be hopefully at the games, and then we'll resume when I get back. All right. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.